6.
Of
Cause
10?
it
We're
wasn't
doing
bad.
at
It's
10
just
now.
out of 10, yeah, 6 out of 10. It's not my favorite, but it really made me realize a lot of things too. Cause um, my grandparents are here with us. They just arrived a month ago, and my lola has cancer. My lolo has dementia. So it was a reminder for me and my family to really treasure the remaining moments they would have with us because they're already 83.
Oh.
So we're just, we know that it's gonna happen. So, but, the book really reminded me that we're here for a good time, not a long time, right? So, yeah, you wouldn't know when it will end. Kaya, yeah, the book would be a 6 for me, for a 7.
Okay, how about Lalo?
I I
With
would
the
give it,
exhale.
yes, a 3 out of 5. Was it good? Yeah, it wasn't bad, but as I discussed with Jackie earlier, like I know it's just 3 hours down, but it took me forever. I mean, the first pages I tried to read, then I was thinking, I fell asleep, and it took me a long time to understand like her inner monologues. And maybe the first chapter I had to read like 3 times to fully understand what's going on, and I didn't like how the book was written. Like first she was talking about a fire in front of her house. Then she's randomly switching to, oh, I used to have a pet rabbit, and then, oh, my cat is missing, and then yeah, this uh, these threads of going back to the present and then to the future and then her thoughts and then real life, it was super confusing. And I personally don't like the type of books that throw too much information, or you need to continue reading in order to understand more about the context. For example, it wasn't until long after that she mentions her name, for example, or whether it is a woman or a man. That was very annoying, but it was a nice book. It's interesting. It was a bit of acid. Yeah, the humor was quite acid. Yes, and at points, it reminded me, yes, I mean, her situations were so bizarre that, yeah, I also thought like, hey, this could have happened to me also as well. Yeah, because yeah, I also remember before coming to the Philippines, I was the week before I was on Thailand feeding monkeys, and then 1 week after that I was on a TPO training. Yeah, it's super crazy, totally unexpected, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's why it was okay. It was okay. It was readable, but not so enjoyable because of all these complex twists and turns. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
Especially we were expecting a different genre of the
Yes,
story.
exactly. Yes, yes,
It
yes,
took me a
exactly.
while before I realized that, wait, I think this is different.
Especially, yes, at the ending. Okay, we can discuss the ending later, right? But yeah, I mean, we tried to, or we were supposed to read something, but we ended up reading something completely different.
Different. The
Yes.
blurb did not say it clearly.
No, no.
We were clickbaited.
Yes. Right, yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. 3 out of 5 for me.
Okay, how about Janelle?
First time for me to give a book 2/5. Because usually so far until now, the books that we read, or I like it. It's interesting. This is also interesting, but as Lalo said, not enjoyable. I bad resonate with how depressed she was. The jokes were a little funny, but I didn't get the point of the. I don't know what's the point. So yeah, to move on.
Okay, how about Jackie?
Well, I just finished the book actually last night. Uh, I give it a 3 out of 5 as well. Because I understand that I think the author was trying to show us like she wants us to be inside Gilda's mind, like her thoughts are scattered. She can't focus. I think she wants us to feel like Gilda, but we felt it too much. No, and that's just for me. But yeah, it was hard. I think I was in the what part 2 when I realized that okay, so this is gonna be a thing. Like she will keep on jumping from this thought to another, not finishing a train of thought throughout the book. But yeah, I guess that's why I'm rating it 3 out of 5 is because I didn't like the structure. I mean, I get what the author is trying to make you feel as a reader, but it wasn't effective, unfortunately. Yes, critic. No, but that's just how I felt. But the story, I think it was a very slow start for me. The pacing of the story was very slow.
Despite that she was talking, it
Yes.
felt and sounded like she was talking rapidly.
And then I got excited at the part where, because we thought it was a murder mystery, right? So when it finally appeared, in I think almost the last part, that's when I really felt excited. I did not fall asleep during that part. But during the start, I feel you, Dado. But
Yes.
yeah, and then the ending was, I actually like the humor of the ending. But maybe we'll talk about it more later. But yeah, 3 out of 5. But it was still, yeah, I still enjoyed it. It's, we can't have all highs in the books that we choose. So yeah, it's 3 out of 5.
It felt tiring. I read it in between my classes and I noticed that before my next class, I feel tired already. It's like, I'm not ready to do this class. I want to sleep. So let's have Adrian.
Oh my god, I'm so hesitant to give my rating because it's unpopular and it's not as disappointed sounding as the others. So I'm actually giving it a high score. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 or 8 out of 10. I really did enjoy reading the story. Not exactly the story itself, but the experience that it brought about. It's the first time that we are inside someone's head from start to finish without someone else describing the person for us. It's just us being isolated in her mental chamber. I thought that it's understandable how it can be too much for other readers. Personally, I think the pacing was just right. I enjoyed how one event led to another, and I felt it was intentional, that it was discombobulated, it was jam-packed and jumbled, because that's how her mind operates. She's she's hyper-aware of things. She's fixated on death. She worries too much. She has anxiety and depression. Maybe, she's medicated, so yes, she is. And so that is reflected in the structure of the book, and how in one chapter there are many events that aren't chronologically arranged. I also liked how it was a dark comedy. It was a dark humor, and how it was comical at some point. How her responses, how her thoughts are fun in a way. And that kind of contributed to how the subject matter was presented and ended up as something that I can appreciate. So in other situation or scenario, this might be too heavy, but because it was presented in that way, it was easier for me to appreciate. Like there were themes of Catholicism and how there are concepts that aren't understandable by Gilda. She's a representation of an atheist lesbian with anxiety and depression. So her experience was really one of a kind. In fact, I couldn't categorize this book under any genre. It's just maybe adult fiction. That's it. But there's no. It's not a particular genre that I can go back to and clearly categorize it under. And so, because of the one of a kind experience, and because it's gonna stuck in my mind for a long time, it's not gonna be my favorite book. There are other better written books, but the experience that it gave me was definitely something worth noting.
Yeah, so another snippet, another factoid. I used to be like, my brain used to run like that. And I was given this medication so my brain would slow down. And honestly, it helped. The first time we noticed it, my sister was the one who noticed it, that I keep on changing topics between topics, something like that. And when I got checked up, so I was given this meds. And you know what? For 5 years, I was writing my master's thesis. And when I took that medication, in 2 semesters, I finished my master's thesis. And I graduated after 2 semesters. So, yeah, that's how destructive it is. I think that you have that kind of brain. Imagine being that jumbled for 5 years and having this medication, and finally you could do it in 2 semesters. So yeah. Anyway, I can relate to. Yes. So I can relate to her in that way. When I was reading that, I felt tired. So is this how I was before? Anyway, so let's move to one of my questions. This one first is about Gilda's parents. How they were, I don't know if you noticed it, but they did not acknowledge Gilda, or what's the name? Eli's problem. So my question is, how do you think the way the parents handled their children's situations affected them when they grew up? Okay, let's start with Sophia again.
Well, for me, I don't think they had an open communication. That's why their kids became maybe they didn't develop like a relationship, a healthy relationship. They're there. It's obvious that every time they meet up, hindi lang special occasion, they find time to meet up, but they don't have connection at all. So they weren't able to build trust with each other, because based on my experience, it also took me like late na to open up to my parents about what I did, especially when I was in college. So when I entered the university talaga, kasi I'm from homeschool, tapos Christian school pa siya. And then the university that I entered, talagang gateway to hell, because everyone's there. Tapos, ayun, parang tinago ko lahat. I joined organizations. I developed habits like drinking. I tried everything. I associated myself with friends. Pero, parang naging strict lang sila, lalo di nila ako inalaw mag-dorm sa first few years ko. Tapos, ayun, eventually, nung nagkaroon na ng opportunity, or parang exchange of heart din yung parents ko na, I think we should accept what Pia wants. Kasi I have the tendency to really explore and know options na kesa mag-stick to the rules talaga. So I uh, relationship na confident mag-share yung anak nila sa kanila. Baka na-prevent nila yung pagtatago or, pero, yeah. So, yeah.
There's this saying, I can't remember the exact words, but strict parents, parang they get to have good liars for children. Something like that.
Yeah, I actually realized, kasi I was like shocked na 27 din tong pangalan si Gilda.
Gilda.
So, oh, damn. So, I should be experiencing that too. Siguro kung hindi na-agapan, hindi nag-lockdown, baka mas malala pa ako. I did. Napamove out ako nang wala sa oras. Kasi that's what I want naman after graduating, diba? But anyways, yun, parang feeling ko nga, kung hindi nag-lockdown, hindi nag-pandemic, hindi kami magiging close, walang trust na mabubuo. Parang, merong connection kasi I'm required to show up every Sunday. Pero, alam mo yun, parang, I would hide, I would filter. I wouldn't hide, I would filter na lang everything. So I think that's what happened with them too.
I think Gilda's parents were physically present but not emotionally and mentally, I guess, present to their children's lives. So okay, let's move to Lalo.
You know, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but throughout the year, all the books that we've read, we've encountered so many bad parents. Why buy condoms? Just read books. Like, this will keep you away from parenting and making mistakes. I don't know. It's so difficult to be a parent, right? and it's complex because, as Marjorie, as you said, they were physically present, but emotionally absent. They weren't there for them. We didn't see many opportunities of real discussions and conversations among family members, right? That wasn't the case in this family. And also, parents, let's say, in giving them the tools so that they could handle their lives a little bit better, correct? Or also in terms of communications or settling goals, things like that. Yeah, that was a bit sad. Yeah, and of course, all these absences or things they lacked, it had a negative impact in both Gilda and her brother, right? Of course, it affected them negatively. But not so, that's the thing, not as negative as, for example, Beck's family or this book or Forbidden's book, right? Like, they were like very bad parents, or kids, or the protagonists in those books they really suffered. In this case, it wasn't as bad as those situations, right? But of course, it affected them negatively. Fortunately, they were able to somehow overcome those issues. And fortunately, they sought help, and that also contributed them to improve their lives.
Okay, how about Janelle?
So I think those kinds of parents who are, can you call that rigid? Anyway, those kinds of parents are very common, especially I think in the Philippines, because when I talk to my friends, it's only a few friends that I know who have parents that are very open emotionally. Even maybe me, my cousins, or I don't know with you guys, are you maybe with your parents? I know.
I'm good.
No, diba? It is very common for us. And it's true na being young will the parenting thing will affect you but we also have to accept that we all have our distinct personalities that are separate from pagpapalaki or from the parents. That's not their fault. We should give parents a break also. So,
I read this meme, but I think it was only last night. It was saying that the generation today, our generation, were so traumatized by our parents that this generation will decide not to have kids. Something like that. So, yeah. So, parents. Anyway, let's have Jackie.
I think, yes, definitely it affected why the kids are like that. They were very dismissive and in denial of the situations of their children. Like, I remember there was part their Gilda was saying, like, Eli is this, Eli is a drunk, he's an alcoholic, and they were just, they were just dismissive. And did I remember it correctly? There was a conversation about therapy, but the father was like, is that correct?
Yeah,
I
yes,
can't remember.
yes.
I'm not sure if that really happened. But yeah, I think they weren't really open to facing that they're having some mental health problems. And Janelle is right. Parents these days, especially our parents, I think, they it's not that they don't believe it, but
They're conservative.
They're very conservative. Or they're
And it
denial
wasn't all like that, or it wasn't like in that generation, right? That kind of problems, or even bullying, for example, they didn't consider it bullying,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So of course it's like a paradigm shift, and it's going to be shocking for them because it's something that it existed, but they didn't really name it, right? It's like a white elephant in the room.
Same
Yes,
with,
exactly, yeah.
there is a higher rate of people with tattoos getting hired now because some of the executives are younger compared to, I think, 2-3 decades ago, where if you have tattoo, there's a low chance of you getting hired because the executives then were our parents' generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also, I think their generation are the resilient ones. Like, they experience a lot of hardships, and then sobrang tatag na nila, they can suck everything up. But then us, we would, papasok na yung we're kind of entitled to, no, we don't deserve that. I don't know. There's a
They
balance.
wanted to give us the things they did not have.
Yeah.
And now that we're like this, they're complaining. It's like, but you made me like this.
But yeah, I think a big factor too is because the talks about mental health is only I think it's only being more people are more open and there are more conversations just now recently.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
exactly.
recently. So I really can't blame them because baka nga, they didn't have this channels or information available to them. But
I think when I was younger, like elementary days, I don't know the term trauma. And then when I went to college, I realized, oh, this is trauma. So most likely they don't have those kinds of terms.
Same with the term bullying. I just
Yeah,
encountered it when I finished college. And I didn't know I experienced bullying in high school. There was no term for it.
No.
You just finish high school with that experience. Okay, how about Adrian?
One thing that was not mentioned is that there is an actual explanation by the author as to how the parents were characterized that way. And not only the parents, actually, all the supposed support systems that were supposed to help Gilda in her journey, in her challenges, were not as effective as they could have been in providing support to her. So there's the police, there's her employers, there's her the healthcare delivery system, her parents. So every system that should have been helping her with her mental challenges, then weren't able to do so as effectively. And so if I remember correctly, she said that that was done intentionally because she wanted to portray a situation of a person who has a mental problem, but isn't able to look for a support system that can help her. And so we are able to see what effects that caused her or that brought upon her. And so yes, I agree that the parents' reaction to Gilda's situation, and not only to her situation, but also to their families. If I remember correctly, the father, as Jackie mentioned, when she suggested therapy, he screamed, saying that his son is not deranged. I think that's what he said. And then there was also a moment when it was shown how he wasn't coping well with his brother's death. I think he was having some anger issues. He was screaming, even with just simple mistakes. And then her mom found her crying in the middle of the night when her pet rabbit Flop died. And instead of saying or giving her therapeutic care or response, all she said was, think of something else, think of something else. And then she ended up dreaming of them dying. So it's just, there are tiny bits inserted everywhere, but just to give light or shed light, that was done on purpose. Because we want to see a picture of someone who would have had another route if there were only effective support systems in place.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Lucky for
And Rochelle
me.
is here.
Lucky for me, when my parents noticed I need help, so I got help. They brought me. I still have a psychologist I meet in Ateneo, and I also have a psychiatrist who monitors my medicine intake. I also meet her regularly. It's my psychiatrist is in Cardinal Santos. So yeah, it's very important. Whatever happens, how many friends you have, or how strong your relationship is with your boyfriend or girlfriend, at the end of the day, it would always be your parents who would actually help you if they acknowledge that you need help. Not the case for Gilda. Okay. So my next question is, where is that? I wrote it. Okay. So what is it like for you to experience life through Gilda's eyes? How did it affect you? Was it eye-opening, or is it kind of familiar for you? Do you share some of her fears or not? And to what extent, actually? I think it's more of the fear of dying. Yeah. So let's start again with Sophia.
Well, what Gilda made me realize is, yun nga, like I shared earlier, life is really short. You don't have to live with regrets. The way she worries, kasi, I was a bit concerned, though I can't really relate because I have this tendency to really chill all the time. Kahit alam kong bagsak na naman ako sa subject ko like 3 times na, I have to retake it. Pero wala, I have to chill. Like, I have to accept it. Parang I have that tendency.
Stoic.
Yeah. Pero, yun nga, I got reminded na it shouldn't be like that. There's a good balance of worrying for your future at the same time being in the present para maiwasan mo yung na-realize ko na 27 years old pala si Gilda, and then she doesn't have a stable job. That she really don't know what to do with her life. Parang I don't see any long-term plans with her. I saw myself like 2 years ago na ganon. So, ayun. I think I would hear you guys now and learn from you.
Do you have an older sister?
No, I'm the eldest.
Oh, that's why. It's a
Eldest.
problem I face with my younger sisters because they compare it to my age before. So they always say, Ate, you were 27 and you were doing this, that, and so they compare it. We have different cases, so
Oh yeah,
stop
that's so
comparing.
Yeah. We're different people kasi talaga different personalities and interests. So, malaking factor din talaga yun. Say, for example, kung si Gilda naman, she's really content with what she has. Diba? And wala naman siyang desire to, to have more responsibilities just to get
To
by
progress.
every day. Yeah. It's fine. She's living her life then. So,
It's more of she wants to survive.
oh, that's it. She just wants to survive. And Pero the fact that she can lie about her identity, that really kind of bothered me because, living a double life was really hard. When I was in college, I was doing that kind of, parang ka-dorm ako. So when I'm in, I studied in UP Diliman. So when I'm in UP, I have this personality na, okay, walwal tayo. I don't care. But when I get home, Saturday, dala ko ng labahin, kuha akong allowance, sing pa tayo ng Sunday. So, yun. Pero eventually, nag-crash din siya kasi I got mixed up now with everything. Nakakaaway ko na yung family ko. Tapos, yun.
Same as Gilda. Things snowballed.
Totoo. So, it's really tiring kapag pagpatuloy niya yun. But I hope hindi naman sundan yung libro kasi magulo talaga.
So how about...
Or series ba siya?
I think it's a standalone. Hopefully, it's a standalone.
I hope it's a standalone.
It's her first novel, actually. It's her first work.
I see. Pero I get her desire to impart lessons because it's there. Siguro sobrang kalat lang talaga niya. Writing niya.
Same as the previous book. It was based on life experience, right?
Was that Saving Beck?
Yeah,
Yes.
the Saving
I
Beck.
love Saving Beck. I really like Saving Beck. The way wala ko last meeting eh. Pero hindi ko mapitawan yung libro. I really liked it a lot.
Okay, let's have Lalo.
Well, what's the question again?
So, wait.
Oh, you
What
can
is
relate
it
to Gilda.
like for you to experience life through Gilda's eyes? How did it affect you? Was it eye-opening or familiar for you? Do you share similar fears with her? And to what extent?
Well, it gave me headaches. So negative. It was difficult to read her obsession with death, And, yeah, of course, I listen to that kind of music. There's this music genre called suicidal depressive black metal, and I
I
like
don't know
it.
that exists.
Yeah, yes, and it is, I'm not so depressing, I try to be cheerful and I try to have goals in life. And of course, there's this pandemic, right? And but yes, this made me think about many things. And as Sophia said, I could relate to her, for example, with my life sometimes, right? I'm almost 27 and 26. My account will pull out next year, so my job is not so stable. Yes, and I didn't finish college because I had 10 subjects left before getting my my degree, but I decided to come to the Philippines.
10 subjects,
Yeah.
that's 30 units, that's one semester.
Yes,
How
exactly.
dare you?
Yes, my mental health was screaming for that, so I think it was the best decision for me. So yeah, sometimes I think about like, what should I do? You know, it's like I'm 27. I don't have a stable job. I don't have a college degree. What am I doing with my life? What kind of am I going to make? You know, especially with these books. You know, yeah, I'm still thinking about that, but I also think, okay, I shouldn't worry too much about those things yet. You know, I mean, we don't even know if we're going to go on a hard lockdown again next week, based on this current situation, you know, or if a new COVID variant will be
Yeah.
discovered. So, I don't know, maybe what I personally do is I focus on my strengths, on my personal skills, and I try to improve what, with what I can do with my own resources, right? With the things that I have. I don't really worry about the things I don't have, but I try to use my own resources to continue or to push forward. That's how I see life. That's how I see it. Yes, of course, it's never too late. Yeah, I enrolled in I'm doing this TESOL teaching course. Well, it's something. Yeah, something to begin with.
How
right?
many years since you left the university?
December 2018.
You still have time. It depends on the university. There's what we call residency. So you could return anytime. I'm not sure. In the Philippines, the residency is 10 years. If you exit the residency, then you are required to start again. First year, first semester. But within the 10 years of residency, you could return anytime. Just continue the program where you left it. So I'm not sure how is it in your country, but that's how it is here.
Yeah, it is. I think I have 5 years.
Oh, there. You
Yeah.
still have a window.
Yes, it is. That's true. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm happy here, and that's my goal. Like, yeah. That's it. Then, yeah, that's it.
Okay, let's have Janelle.
So, what was the question? What made me aware by living in her mind?
Yes.
Well, what a relief that I am not her. That I don't believe me, that I never went through that kind of thing, that my parents are so lucky to have me. And he recommended, to them, her suitor, because the suitor was into meditation, law of attraction. That's the guy, and she found the guy. She thinks he's a fake, right? But I resonated more with that guy.
The self-help guy. Yeah, yes, Giuseppe. Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. See, Giuseppe.
He and I would have.
Focus on dating. Okay, let's have Jackie.
So yeah, I think at least for a few hours, I felt what it's like to be in the mind of someone who has, I think, anxiety or all those mental health issues, and it's
My
really
psychiatrist
tiring.
said it's the term she used is hyperactive brain. So it's similar already to ADHD.
Yeah. So it's tiring, and I realized na my parents are also lucky to have me. But no, but I'm just, I guess, blessed that despite other things that happened in my personal life too, that I was able to cope, and some people are not as some people
Resilient.
break. Yes, some people are not resilient, and we can't blame them. That's just how people are. So it was an eye opener for me, and I think there are like Sophia, there are so many lessons in this book, even though it was confusing to read. Like we really never know what a person is experiencing, so it always pays to be kind. That's just one of the many realizations I learned. Yeah, it's I hope that more people with mental health issues will have more access to treatments.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you,
expensive.
Stephanie. Like you
My
said, you're-
psychiatrist is 2,000 per session. My psychologist is 1,800 per session.
Damn.
When
Plus
I
the
was on
medication.
red alert, I had to meet my psychologist weekly. So, but now I only meet them every 6 months.
Ow.
That's the thing here in the Philippines and in Asia in general. Since the pandemic, I noticed that these topics like mental health, anxiety, depression, like were not really discussed at all here in Asia.
Until
Like
now.
in Asian cultures, yes, exactly, until now, correct? But in Argentina, it's something super common. An interesting fact, I think I told you about this before, but Argentina has the highest amount of psychologists per capita in the world.
Lucky for you.
Yeah, lucky for you.
Yes, and it's so common, and of course, and I think, yeah, everyone I know has been to the psychologist at least once in their lives for anything, for any reason. And the thing is that also healthcare covers
It's not
Psychologist,
here. It's not
psychiatrist.
here.
Yeah, what's happened in our health card, right?
It's
It was
written
really
that.
indicated that it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
part of it. What the
So
hell?
yeah, but in Argentina it's super common, and I started going to the psychologist when I was 8 because I was being bullied. And then yes, and during high school I was so bullied that I went to 5 different psychologists.
That's a lot.
No,
Are you
no,
okay?
2 years. 2 years. Sorry,
Do you want
sorry.
to talk about it, Lalo?
No, I'm okay. Don't worry. I'm okay, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't an issue now for me because, like, I had the tools and I had people, like, to give me a hand or to pull through those situations. And that was very useful. And it's not that and even nowadays, it is not a taboo like, to talk about going to the psychologist or going to the psychiatrist. No, it's normal. It should be normal, and it's useful.
And
it's
you know,
healthy.
I just remembered about the healthcare in the Philippines. I get my brain scans because mental illness is brain, and my blood tests for the medicine. But I have to ask a different doctor to write the request, because if they see the request is from my psychiatrist, it will not be covered by the health card. So my psychiatrist writes the request on her pad, and I go to an accredited doctor by the HMO, show the paper, and ask him or her to write it on her paper so I could show that to the hospital and have the HMO cover the brain scans and blood tests. So that's how I move through the loopholes. But the sessions, of course, I have the sessions I have to pay. There's no loopholes for the sessions. Okay, anyway, let's have Adrian.
Okay, so I guess at this point it's mutually agreeable that the purpose of the author was to create a simulation of what's happening inside a person's mind, a person who has mental health issues, right? And so that gives me, to put it short, I wouldn't have it in any other way. I think that's the best way in a written form that you can describe what really is happening. Because if it were just a normal narration of events, like how the person behaves from an external perspective, then we wouldn't appreciate it that much. We wouldn't understand the details of how complicated it is. It wasn't, of course, going to be a perfect representation because every situation is unique, and the person, the author, isn't the same character. So it's a combination of many experiences, and it's going to be the same every time. But I guess the fact that it evokes emotions from us, although in different forms, like someone said she felt relieved that she's not Gilda. Someone said someone said that they take pity on Gilda, or someone felt too heavy or tired reading her thoughts. The fact that there was an emotion, it means that we were able to react to the situation. We were able to understand exactly what it does to that person. And so I guess the next step is, what do we do with that emotion and that reaction? Do we use it to understand the person better? Do we use that to dismiss any similar situation in the future? So it's okay if we do not appreciate the story now, but the fact that we were able to feel something, I think I'm really happy that it did, because I think after reading this, we're much more sensitive and I guess sensitive and aware of how to approach a similar situation next time. That's all. So I guess that's my realization. Going through her mind, it enhanced the empathy. Although it's already there, like we hear it all the time, our institutions remind us to be mindful of others, be caring, always show your affection to others, always be there. But to show you how someone cannot overcome it, even if the person wants to function normally, it kind of just polishes the thought in your mind to be extra helpful to others whenever possible. That's all.
Yeah, because I always use the analogy of my dad having diabetes. So he has a problem with his sugar levels. It's the same with me. I have a problem with my hormone levels, and it affects us differently. He gets weak or almost always hungry with because of his diabetes, and in my case, I am this because of the brain thing. So yeah, it's the same with other organs that you have problems with. It's just, I guess, we're only learning about the brain illnesses now, so we don't really know how to treat the people, since we're just in the beginning of learning about these things. Giving great relief. Okay, so let's move to the book list, book choices for next month. So Jackie,
Grabe, nakatatlong questions lang
Oo,
tayo.
one more.
I have 14 questions.
Dapat umabsent na ako next time. I will be absent next time so that there will be more questions.
I have 14. Yes, I marked 2 out of 14.
One
In my
more. You
list.
guys game for one more. Yuck.
It's Friday. Yay.
Okay, sige, let's have one more. Now, wait, let me choose. Here, let's talk about Giuseppe. So, where is it? I have 2 questions about Giuseppe. Okay. How does Gilda's worldview contrast with Giuseppe's opinion? The opinion is you can do anything you like in life as long as you believe that you can. So that's Giuseppe's opinion, but again, it's different with Gilda's opinion. Okay, let's start with Sophia again.
I'm trying to remember Giuseppe. Is he the one who keeps on asking about the sushi date?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ghosted a lot of guys, but I love the spirit, man. Anyway, his mantra. Maybe that was my mantra before. Right now, I feel like I wouldn't disagree, because maybe it would work for some people. But me, I'm being more careful with how I would give my energy to other people because I know it would also affect them. I have the tendency to be really insensitive, just care for myself. Basta, I'm sure na I'm not hurting anyone. Pero again, there's a definition of hurt for other people too, right? So, maybe that kind of mantra shouldn't always be used.
Use it, moderately.
Yeah, you have to balance it and yeah.
Okay, how about Lalo?
uh, I agree with Sophia in that term. I mean, I believe in that mantra. Of course, I truly believe that if you have, like, yeah, if you have a very strong goal, and if you're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Either it is learning a new language, moving to a different country, getting in shape, or whatever, getting married, or I don't know, pursuing a career, you name it, right? But but this kind of mantra, yes, it should be used carefully because it reminds me of those people who do CrossFit. Have you ever encountered? Oh, I do CrossFit. Oh, I do CrossFit. Oh, you should do CrossFit too. Things like that. I can do it. You can do it. We can do it. Yeah.
I think that mantra is too idealistic.
Exactly.
You have to be realistic, more on the realistic side.
Yes, and down to earth.
That age,
Down
you
to
have to
earth.
factor in a lot of things, though.
Yeah, of course you can. But for example, you can touch your back using your knee. Yeah, even if you're super positive, that's something you cannot do. Like, you have to be very down to earth, and you have to be like mindful of the person's situation and condition and willingness as well, right? That's what I think.
If I do this, if I follow this mantra, I would look like I am in a manic episode. So that is a red flag to everyone around me if I follow it. Okay, how about Janelle?
That thing is so cliche, even though I believe in law of attraction. But it is so cliche. I'd rather go with the saying, which is if you want something, all in the world will conspire to give you what you want. How simple
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather go with that than what just said. Because he seems like the guy who is, of course, we always promote positivity, right? But not toxic positivity. He's toxic, and we don't
Or
want
forced
it.
positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's thing.
Okay, Jackie, how about you?
Yeah, that's true. I agree with all the answers so far about Giuseppe. Is it correct, Lalo? Giuseppe?
Yeah, Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. So, I think I think he lived a very privileged life for him to be in that mental state, diba? So, he's one of the fortunate ones. And, again, parang if I have a friend like that, do I have a friend like that? Do you have a friend like that, Steffi? I think it really depends I think her and Gilda were just the polar opposites. So there was a part there when she lashed out on Giuseppe, and I think it was more than a page, or I think it was a one whole page of her just saying that, diba? So I think, toxic positivity as Giuseppe, but yeah, I think from the start we are all like that, but as we grow older, we become more like Gilda. Not really, but
Okay.
Thank you.
And we have Adrian.
Yes. So I'm gonna call him Giuseppe because that's how Gilda pronounces his name. I think rather than we used to be like that, it emphasizes that we can also be a version of Giuseppe at some point in our lives when we're encountering similar situations, and we need to be careful because the default response usually when someone is having a downtime is to counter it with a positive mantra of saying that the person should just think positively, that everything will pass, that everything will be okay. That's why there are sayings like there's always a rainbow after the rain, or
Silver lining.
oh yeah, there's a silver lining. You'll get through it. Think about something else. So I guess he is an exaggerated version of that perspective of how the society reacts to people with mental health illness. And so we need to always be careful in not being that kind of person, because the positivity, the being the best version of yourself, understanding the purpose of your life, those are good suggestions actually, and those are very applicable. But it's not a one formula. It's not a universal formula for all types of problems, and it's not it cannot be given in just one standard dosage to all types of people, because it has to be unique to each type of person. In Gilda's case, she had many layers that had to be solved first before that kind of suggestion would have been useful for her. So if only she didn't have any other issues, well, that kind of mantra would have been effective or helpful for her. But unfortunately, she's in a very unique situation, and so we cannot just impose that kind of formula and feed her that and expect good results. That's all.
We have this case with fat positivity. I remember there's this rapper who they love because she is proud of her size. And then we have Adele. And then we have, who's this Australian actress? The one in Pitch Perfect.
Rebel Wilson.
Yes, Rebel Wilson. So they were this what's that? Icons for fat positivity because they were proud of their size. But then they started exercising and losing weight. So the community of the fat positive people are now mad at them because it's like they are fat shaming now. So it's like that. You have a different worldview. It's to the extreme. Like, it's a toxic positivity thing that how could you be fat shamed for choosing to be healthier? Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, but and remember, the crystal generation as well. I mean, they get offended because of everything. That's it. You have to literally be careful about everything and everyone and anything.
My sister calls them snowflakes.
Exactly. Like everything.
Okay, let's have Jackie.
Can we have one, joke? I think we still have a lot of questions, but just send it to us, Georgia, so we can answer it. Okay, so wait, I'll present my.
Sophia has a question.
Sophia.
Oh, go, Sophia. Sorry.
Are you guys afraid to die?
No. Since I'm suicidal, so that's a no. I have accepted it.
Glad that it's reality talaga, no?
And you know what? It's kind of freeing. I mean, in my case, since I know I could do it anytime. So, yeah. I mean, whatever happens to me, it doesn't faze me now. Because it's either you do it to me or I do it to myself. So,
I thought you're gonna say I do it to you.
so yeah, but I I can't tell it to my parents because they will just get mad and it would be a long lecture that you should be afraid of dying. Blah, 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 blah. So there. No, not afraid of death. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Kind of. Same, I'm
actually
afraid.
No, I was just actually thinking. Hi. I was actually just thinking, if ever you will, regardless if you'll take care of yourself, you'll still die if it was your timing. Remember that some posts are there in the Facebook that if in case you were just there, like you're just drinking your coffee, then suddenly there will be a sudden accident. So you cannot really prevent it. So whatever will happen, if you'll die, you'll die.
Yeah.
It's your time. It's your time.
Yeah, that's how I think about it.
I remember my uncle told me that